هي أكبر دولة سكاناً في آسيا، عاصمتها طشقند، ومن أهم مدنها سمرقند. تضم أقاليماً ذات حكم ذاتي، وهي 9 أقاليم، منها أقاليم لها شهرة عريقة في تاريخ الإسلام، فمنها بخاري وسمرقند وطشقند وخوارزم، إنها أوزبكستان. حياكم الله مشاهدينا من جديد وفي حلقة جديدة من برنامجكم حوار دبلوماسي. حوار سيكون من الكويت لأوزبكستان، ولقاء سيجمعني مع سفير دولة أوزبكستان لدى دولة الكويت الدكتور بهرمجان أعلايوف. حياكم الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. منذ العصور القديمة حازت أوزبكستان اعترافاً باعتبارها واحدة من أهم مراكز الحضارة العالمية، خزانة لكنوز التراث الإسلامي العظيم، ويمثل مجمع حضرة الإمام الواقع في مدينة طشقند جزءاً لا يتجزأ من التراث الروحي لشعب الأوزبكي، فهنا يحتفظ بأعظم الآثار المقدسة في جميع أنحاء العالم الإسلامي، وهي نسخة أصلية من القرآن مصحف عثمان، وقد تم نسخ هذا النص الشريف على جلد الغزلان بأمر من ثالث الخلفاء الراشدين عثمان بن عفان رضي الله عنه، وذلك في القرن الأول للهجرة أو القرن السابع ميلادي. في ذلك الوقت تم نسخ 6 نسخ فقط من المصحف الشريف، وتعد النسخة الوحيدة في العالم من هذا المصحف المحفوظة حتى يومنا هذا هي تلك الموجودة في مكتب متحف مجمع الأئمة المبجلين، كما تشهد على ذلك شهادة منظمة اليونسكو الصادرة في 28 أغسطس لعام 2000، والتي تؤكد أن النسخة الأصلية للمصحف هي المحفوظة هنا.
أهلا وسهلا فيكم مشاهدينا من جديد. وسعادة السفير، بداية نعبر لك عن شكرنا وتقديرنا لك واستضافتك الحلوة لنا في هذا اليوم الجميل، ونبدأ معك في شريط الدبلوماسية وعن الدبلوماسية ومتى تسلمت سعادة السفير مهام عملك الدبلوماسي في دولة الكويت.
السلام عليكم. First of all, thank you very much for your invitation to your program. It is a big pleasure today for me to share some useful information about my country. I was appointed as a chief of diplomatic mission of Uzbekistan to the state of Kuwait in 2014, exactly in March. And this year, alhamdulillah, this more than 7 years I am in Kuwait.
نعم. شنو كان شعورك سعادة السفير حين صدور قرار استلام مهام عملك في دولة الكويت؟
It is very interesting and important questions, because this decision of leadership of my country to appoint me as a chief of mission, diplomatic mission of Uzbekistan to the state of Kuwait, openly was for me inattendu, unexpected, because before my arrival to Kuwait, I worked during a long period in Europe. But I received and I accepted this decision of my president of my government with gladness, and because this for each diplomat, I think this working in Middle East, it is very important and it is very interesting. And when I had this decision, before this decision, I only know Kuwait by map openly. I know this Kuwait is one of the rich countries in the world and is rich on petrol. And in Kuwait, level of life is very, very high. And after this decision, I immediately tried to recall to have more information. And after then, I will say this very, very good country. And the decision for me was, and I accepted this very gladness, and I am very happy to come to to Kuwait as ambassador.
نعم، احنا اسعد اكثر سعادة السفير، شكرا على كلامك الجميل واطرائك الحلو عن دولة الكويت. اذا بنعرف معك سعادة السفير، في البداية متى كان عملك الدبلوماسي؟ اول دولة تفضلت فيها ومتى كانت؟
Normally, I came to Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Uzbekistan in 1995, and before I was a professor, a teacher of French languages in Tashkent, Uzbek State University of Foreign Languages. And in 1995, I received invitation by Minister of Foreign Affairs to come to work at the ministry, at the diplomatic fields, because you know this, Uzbekistan had his independence in 1991 after the Soviet Union. In 1995, it was a very young country, and who built his independence, and Uzbek diplomacy also was very young in this period. And after then, 96 and 98, I worked as a diplomat at the Embassy of Uzbekistan in Paris, in France. After then, I worked at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and in 2001-2006, I was fourth secretary after counselor of the Embassy of Uzbekistan in Brussels, in Belgium. And after I had a director of the department at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Department for Cooperation with Republics former Soviet Union and Russia. And after 2008, I was appointed as ambassador in France. I was ambassador in France during 4 years. After then, I returned to Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I was a director of the Department of Europe. And in 2014, I was appointed as the chief of diplomatic missions to the state of Kuwait.
نعم، سعادة سفير، مثل ما تفضلت حضرتك وقلت قبل لا تجي الكويت ما كنت عارف عنها أشياء وايد، مجرد أن شفتها بالخريطة وأن هي غنية بالنفط. لكن حضرتك الحين عندنا سفير 7 سنين وإن شاء الله تبقى معنا على طول. شنو اللي أثار إعجابك وجذبك في دولة الكويت في هذه الفترة اللي تعرفت فيها أكثر عن هذا البلد؟
Of course, when I came first time I came to Kuwait, this country was very interesting for me. First, I appreciated very highly this hospitality of Kuwaiti people. When I came from first day of my arrival to Kuwait, I had immediately more friends in Kuwait, and even among the political personals in Kuwait. And Kuwait people also, I understand immediately, has a very big hospitality, very big heart, generosity like Uzbek people, and it is for second. And of course, I love the social life in Kuwait. Immediately, I began to go to some divaniya in Kuwait. It is divaniya also one of these old traditions in Kuwait. Is very, very important. Divaniya is some bridge between the peoples, and they play a very big role to establish some communications with other peoples. And the third, of course, food in Kuwait, and some Kuwaiti food also, like some Uzbek people, Kuwait's, and in Kuwait also you can find more restaurants, you can find food all different nationality in Kuwait. And of course, I loved also those green parks and the beach in Kuwait. Of course, I was very impressed when I came first time in Kuwait. Of course, as a diplomat, I appreciated highly immediately this open, constructive role of foreign policy of Kuwait, and because Kuwait plays this very big role in Middle East, particularly in the solution of some regional problems and regional questions. And I love this country, and there is more things in this country to learn, to see. Alhamdulillah, I am very happy.
إن شاء الله تبقى معنا وتشوف أكثر وأكثر سعادة السفير. إذا بنتكلم عن ما هي أهم السمات الدبلوماسية الأوزبكستانية ومدى نجاحاتها سعادة السفير؟
The Republic of Uzbekistan, under the leadership of my president, His Excellency Shavkat Mirziyoyev, provides an open, constructive, friendly foreign policy based on the protections, of course, of the national interest of this country. And one of this objective of foreign policy of Uzbekistan, of course, is the strengthening of the independence of Uzbekistan. This year we celebrated 30 years of independence after the Soviet Union. Of course, Uzbekistan provides this peaceful policy with all partners in the world and based on the mutual interest, mutual profit, and our foreign policy also, one of the big objectives of our policy is the main objective of foreign policy of Uzbekistan is Central Asia. Why? Because Uzbekistan is situated in the center of Central Asia. It's a very important country with 33 million populations. And in Central Asia, there are 5 countries, and including, we have also borders with Afghanistan. And for us, this strengthening of cooperations and the regional political, economic, cultural, humanitarian integration is very important. And of course, we also try to develop our relations, trade, economic relations with all our neighbors countries in Central Asia. In this case, I would like to note that this cooperation with Afghanistan also is very important because peace and stability in Afghanistan is a guarantee of peace and stability in this whole region and in the world. Afghanistan, historically of our neighbors countries, historically we had a very good relationship with Afghanistan, and today also Uzbekistan participate actively on all efforts of community international to provide peace and security in Afghanistan. And Uzbekistan also now implement some big social project, economic project in Afghanistan. Other main objective of foreign policy of Uzbekistan is this cooperation with Republic of former Soviet Union. Today this CIC, it is Community of Independent States, because with all these countries, former Soviet Union, historically we have economic, trade, and humanitarian cooperations and ties. And another objective also, Uzbekistan is developed his cooperation, his ties with international organizations, including United Nations and Organization of Islamic Cooperations, etc. We have a very good relationships with European countries, United States, and China, Pakistan, India, as all countries. Of course, with neighbors and countries in Russia. But in foreign policy of Uzbekistan, there is a very important role of a cooperation with Middle East, with all states of Muslim countries and Arabic Muslim countries. And because this country is very important for us, and we try to develop all ties in political and economic, trade and humanitarian fields with all countries. Last 4 years now, with our president, His Excellency Shavkat Mirziyoyev, foreign policy of Uzbekistan already give some fruits, some positive results, because grass and due our open foreign policy, constructive foreign policy, today Uzbekistan in a short time resolved his problems, water resources problems and border problems with all our neighbors countries in Uzbekistan, in Central Asia. And the last 4 years, if you look to the sources, last 4 years, we had a big integrations between countries of Central Asia. It is economic integrations, political integrations, humanitarian integrations, and cultural integrations in our region.
نعم. سعادة سفير، بما أن حضرتك تفضلت وقلت عن علاقة دولة أوزبكستان بدول المجاورة أو علاقتها بالدول الأوروبية والدول العربية وطريقتها في إرساء السلام وهي من أهم السمات، نبي نعرف علاقة أو ما هي العلاقة بين، خلينا نقول، كيف تصف لنا العلاقات الكويتية الأوزبكستانية وأبرز ملامح تطورها وآفاقها في الماضي والحاضر والمستقبل.
I told you the science from the first years of our independence, Uzbekistan gave very big attention to strengthen his relationships with all partners in the world, and including the states of Middle East. In Middle East, Kuwait, state of Kuwait for us is a very important partner, and Kuwait among first countries in the world immediately recognized the independence of Uzbekistan in 1991. And diplomatic relations between Uzbekistan and Kuwait were established in 1994. And with Kuwait, we have good relations and cooperations in political, trade, investment, and financial fields, of course, in humanitarian fields also. And in 2004, my first president, later Islam Karimov, visited with official visit Kuwait. And in 2008, His Highness Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Jabr Al-Ahmad Al-Sabah, later Sheikh His Highness visited Uzbekistan with official visit. And I would like to emphasize this between these all countries in Middle East, particularly among the states of Arabian countries, His Highness was first leaders of Muslim countries visited Uzbekistan. It is very important for us also. Today, our relationship with Kuwait are developed in all fields. We permanently organize political consultations between Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And now this year, inshallah, we try to organize a meeting of Intergovernmental Commission for Economic Trade and Economic and cooperation between two countries. Last year, even during this pandemic situations, we can grow our export from Uzbekistan to Kuwait, for example. Last year and this year, we Kuwait import from Uzbekistan some medical items, some masks, some gloves, etc. Now we have some agreement with some companies, Kuwait companies, to import from Uzbekistan to Kuwait some agriculture products, textile products, because agriculture is very important in Uzbekistan. Fruits and vegetables in Uzbekistan are organic, and we are one of the first countries in the world who export agriculture. And Uzbekistan also is a country of textile. We produce cotton, we produce silk, and now we export our textile products to Europe, to Asia, and to neighbors countries. And we have big project, and in this case, I would like also to note this very efficient cooperation with Kuwait Fund for Arabic Economic Development. With Kuwait Fund, we worked already more than 20 years, and Kuwait Fund participates actively in the implementation of social and economic projects in Uzbekistan. Yeah. And in humanitarian action also is very important, and we organize in Kuwait some days of culture of Uzbekistan. We organize some concerts, some exhibitions in Uzbekistan. I think this perspective of Kuwait-Uzbek relationship is very big and very prominent. Inshallah, we will do more success.
الحمد لله. سعادة سفير، مستمرين معاك إن شاء الله مع مشاهدينا بعد هذا الفاصل راجعين.
التاريخ العظيم لا يكتب أي شيء عبثا، فذاكرة الشعوب تحتفظ بدماء شهدائها ومداد علمائها، ولذلك فإن وراثة هذا التاريخ الحافل عن العلماء والشهداء أمانة ينبغي أن نسلمها للأجيال الجديدة بكل صدق وإخلاص، وهذه مهمتنا الأساسية. أثناء انعقاد اجتماع وزراء الخارجية 43 لدول منظمة التعاون الإسلامي المنعقد في 18 من شهر أكتوبر سنة 2016 ميلاديا في مدينة طشقند، أشاد فخامة رئيس جمهورية أوزبكستان السيد شوكت ميردياوف بالإنتاج والتراث العلمي والمعرفي والروحي الثمين لأبي منصور الماتريدي رحمه الله. أشار إلى أن هذا الإنتاج العلمي والروحي للماتريدي والماتريدية يدعو إلى روح التسامح الديني ونبذ التعصب مع الاعتزاز بروح الإسلام، مما يوجه لها انتباها كبيرا ودورا هاما في حياة الإنسانية والتعايش بينها في عالمنا المعاصر. وفي الحقيقة فإن بلدنا أوزبكستان يعرف كبلد للعلم والعلماء الكبار الذين خدموا الحضارة والثقافة الإسلامية خدمات جليلة، مما كان له أثر عالمي قوي. وفي عالم اليوم في ظل التطور والحداثة فإننا نتصور حضارة معتدلة تفيد من نتاج علمائنا الكبار من أمثال الخوارزمي وأبو الريحان البيروني والإمام البخاري والإمام الماتريدي ومدرسته. ومن أجل الشراكة الإنسانية بين الشعب الأوزبكي والعالم في هذا التراث العظيم، عقد في يومي 3 و4 من شهر مارس من هذه السنة الجارية مؤتمر في مدينة سمرقند تحت عنوان الإمام الماتريدي وتعاليم الماتريدية، وفيه أفاد معالي الدكتور أحمد الطيب الإمام الأكبر شيخ الأزهر ما يلي: يجب عقد المزيد من المؤتمرات لإحياء التراث القومي والمعنوي لأمتنا الإسلامية. وأوجه كلمات الشكر والامتنان لجمهورية أوزبكستان الرائدة في هذا المجال، حيث تستحق كل الفخر والتقدير لجهودها العظيمة في إحياء هذا التراث. إن الإصلاحات المستمرة التي تشمل المجال الديني والعلمي في جمهورية أوزبكستان تؤدي مهمة نشر المعاني الإنسانية الراقية، وإن مراكز الإمام البخاري والإمام الترمذي والإمام الماتريدي هذه المراكز الدولية تؤدي دور حجر الأساس لتحقيق هذه الأهداف.
حياكم الله مشاهدينا من جديد. سعادة سفير، تعتبر أوزبكستان بآثارها وثقافتها القديمة التي تنتمي إلى مختلف العصور هي خزينة التاريخ، كما أن العديد من آثارها التاريخية مدرجة ضمن قائمة اليونسكو للتراث العالمي، فماذا عن أهمية موقعها ومواقعها في التراث الثقافي البشري؟
Yes, Uzbekistan is known in the world by his big history, big culture, and because Uzbekistan was also one of the big crossroads of a great Silk Route. The Great Silk Route was one of the important phenomena, socio-economic phenomena in the world. And now today in the territory of Uzbekistan there are more than 7,000 monuments, architecture, historical monuments in Uzbekistan. More monuments in Samarkand, Bukhara, Khiva, Kokand, Fergana Valley, etc. These monuments, from this 8th, 9th century till 20th century, for example, and more than of this historical monuments are conserved very well, and some monuments are including to UNESCO heritage list in Samarkand, Bukhara, Khiva, and Tashkent. And of course this history is very big, and to know more about this country I propose first to visit this country.
نعم إن شاء الله إن شاء الله. سعادة السفير، سعادة السفير، بخاري، سمرقند، طشقند وخوارزم قدمت علماء أثروا على التراث الإسلامي بجهدهم، فهل لك أن تحدثنا سعادة السفير عنهم وأهمية بعض ما قدموه للتاريخ العربي والإسلامي والبشرية؟
Yes, in Uzbekistan there are more historical cities like Bukhara, Samarkand, Khwarezm, Tashkent, Kokand in Fergana Valley, and Shahrisabz. But Uzbekistan also is land of very famous philosophers, mathematicians, astronomers, and doctors in Uzbekistan. In Uzbekistan was born like Abu Rayhan Biruni, Ibn Sina, Al-Khwarizmi, at Tirmizi, of course, Imam al-Bukhari, he has a big thinker for hadith in the world, and al-Zamakhshari, al-Maturidi, etc., etc. For example, Imam al-Bukhari, every Muslim knows who is Imam al-Bukhari. He recalled more positive hadith and created book of hadith in the world first. And Abu Rayhan Biruni, he was very big astronomer in the world, and in philosophers, astronomer and poet also. And Ibn Sina, everybody knows it is this. Is known under the name Avicenna in Europe, for example. Ibn Sina was born also in Bukhara, and he worked in Bukhara after he left to Iran. And Al-Khwarizmi, this algebra created by Al-Khwarizmi, this even name of algebra came from the name of Al-Khwarizmi. Zamakhshari created first this grammar of Arabic languages, for example. And we have another more the thinkers in Uzbekistan, like Imam Maturidi, for example. And this Uzbekistan gives already, all the thinkers, mathematicians already give big contribution to the development of world civilizations, particularly Islamic civilizations.
أيضا سعادة سفير، زخرت أوزبكستان بمراكزها العلمية ومدارسها التي ازدهرت فيها العمارة والفنون التطبيقية، وكانت لها مساهمات بارزة في تطوير الحضارة العالمية. ماذا عن أهم المنارات سعادة السفير والمؤسسات الثقافية في أوزبكستان؟
After the Uzbekistan take his independence, now during 30 years, this government of Uzbekistan pay very important attention to learn this civilizations, Muslim civilizations, Arabic civilizations, and this Islam religion, and in Uzbekistan, because during the Soviet Union, the studies of this Islam religions, studies of your history, real history, and it was prohibited. After the Soviet Union and after the independence, now Uzbekistan, we created more religion schools, more centers. For example, in Tashkent, we created already academic of Islamic Academy, International Islamic Academy. In Tashkent, we create also Center of Islamic Civilizations, for example. In Uzbekistan, we created also some research center of Imam al-Bukhari, research center of al-Tirmizi, and research center of another research centers. And we create also some religion schools in Uzbekistan for girls, for women, and for men, and for women in Uzbekistan. And we now study to learn real Islam, and we do more research in these fields. And in this case also, we have a good opportunity to cooperate with Kuwait side, with some Kuwait institutions, with Kuwait with Kuwait organizations to cooperate in this, to provide some resources in this fields in Uzbekistan.
نعم سعادة سفير، أيضا لما ننتقل حق الحرف اليدوية في أوزبكستان، الحرف اليدوية لها طابع خاص في أوزبكستان، لها اهتمام خاص. شنو هي أشهر الحرف اليدوية لديكم؟
And Uzbekistan, this art of handicraft is very famous. Is handicraft in Uzbekistan come from generation to generation, from century to century. In Uzbekistan, there are 14 regions. In 14 regions, each region has art of handicraft in Uzbekistan. And during this independence, now we developed more this handicraft. You see, all this Uzbek handicraft, for example. This also this handicraft one. This I will show in the handicraft items today. What I have in embassy in Uzbekistan to develop this handicraft arts. We created specially the associations of handicrafts in Uzbekistan. 2 years ago in Kokan, it is one of the old cities in Uzbekistan, we organized first international festival of handicrafts. And we invited more handicrafts from more countries in the world, around the world, including from Kuwait. If I don't take mistake, from Kuwait, over 20 handicrafts participated at the Kokand International Festival. Now we work very closely with Kuwait handicrafts to develop our cooperation in this field. Inshallah, this year or next year we will organize some special expositions of Uzbek handicrafts in Kuwait.
إن شاء الله بإذن الله. سعادة السفير، إذا تحدثنا عن الحركة الأدبية والشعرية في أوزبكستان، فمنهم أشهر الروائيين والشعراء الحاليين الأوزبكستانيين.
Of course, this poetry is very important in each people. In Uzbekistan also we have more history. Also we have more very famous poetries and writers in Uzbekistan. Poetries like, for example, Alisher Navoiy. Everybody knows Alisher Navoiy. Alisher Navoiy, he has created more poetry and ghazal in Arabic, maybe also ghazal. And Alisher Navoiy, Mirza Ulugh Bek, he was, it is grandson of Taimur. He was big king and big astronomer and big poet. Furqat, for example. There's one big classic poetry, Babur, Zahreddin Muhammad Babur. If you remember, this Babur came from Uzbekistan to India, and he's created big empire in India. This Taj Mahal also was created by the grandson of Babur.
Yeah.
Babur origin from Andijan, Fergana Valley of Uzbekistan, and he was king, very young king, but he was very big poetry and writer. It is very famous. And we have also like poetry, some Makhtum Khuli, for example, Chusti, for example, and more. Mukimi, for example. But today also, this poetry is very important in our life. We have very modern poetry in Uzbekistan. We had also very good poetry, some Irkin Wahidov, Abdullah Aripov, Muhammad Yusuf, etc., etc. Today also among young people, this poetry plays very important role, because poetry is very important for young education, young people. So poetry also is important to know for your history, to your modern life, everything. In this case, in Uzbek poetry is very famous, and in this case also already we proposed to begin some cooperation with Kuwait Al-Babtain Foundation.
إن شاء الله. سعادة سفير، لو بنتكلم عن الزي التقليدي، وهو الملامح والهوية لأي مجتمع، وهي تعكس عادات وتقاليد المجتمع. يعني إذا كان الدولة حارة باردة حسب ألوان الأثواب وسعها ضيقها، هذا شيء مؤكد في كل الشعوب. ماذا عن الزي التقليدي الأوزبكستاني للرجل وللمرأة؟ ما هو؟
Yes, each people has a traditional dress, traditional clothes. In Uzbekistan also same. We have some traditional clothes for men, traditional clothes for women. There is also there's clothes and dress for everyday. There is clothes dress for some festivity. There is clothes and for wedding and other occasions. And there is for men more than important. If every day you can take everything, it is no problem.
Yeah,
but some traditions for rajul, for men, it is chapan. Chapan is a long dress, and there is chapan also for each season in Uzbekistan, and there is also some clothes in Uzbekistan for women and for men. Also, this traditionals, for example. For women also, there is some dress, robe, and long, and there is some
for the head.
And more of Uzbek women's clothes are more colorful, like in Arabic countries. Some people like more colors, more colors. Dress our women use in festivity, in wedding, like this. And we have.
But the man, it's white color.
women.
The man.
Man, no. White color,
color.
some for short,
The
white
woman
colors.
colorful.
Color, more colors, of course. And in 14 region, 12 region in Uzbekistan, in each region you can find this different
a kind of
different
traditional
kind
dress.
of traditions.
سعادة سفير، إذا تكلمنا عن كيف تسعون إلى تطوير العلاقات الثقافية الكويتية الأوزبكستانية، بالتحديد العلاقات الثقافية.
Yes, of course, and these cultural relations between Uzbekistan and Kuwait are very important. And last 5 years, we already organized 3 times cultural days of Uzbekistan in Kuwait in cooperation with Kuwait National Council of Culture, Arts and Literature. And we organized also some exhibitions, photo exhibitions, and dedicated to Uzbekistan. We already organized more times this concert with Uzbek musicians, Uzbek artists, Uzbek singers. And the last 2 years we organized this big concert with National Council and concert of Young Uzbek Orchestra in Kuwait. All our cultural manifestations had a big success in Kuwait. And due to this pandemic situation, now we have some pause, but inshallah now we plan also to begin this cooperations, inshallah, this year or next year, because cultural relations is very important for relations in other fields, because through culture you can go to heart of each people. And this cultural relations also is very important for popular diplomacy. And he approached these countries because between Uzbek and Kuwait peoples we have more same approach things. We have same religion, we have same traditions, we have same like music also, same dance also. Inshallah we will do more in future.
إن شاء الله. سعادة سفير، تتبنى مؤسسة عبد العزيز سعود البابطين الثقافية دور ريادي في إحياء الثقافة والمحافظة على اللغة العربية والثقافة والشعر العربي. كيف تقيم دورها في توثيق ذلك؟
I know very well this activity of this Abdulaziz Al Babtain Foundations. And because in the first, when I came 7 years ago to Kuwait, one of my first meeting was with His Excellency Abdulaziz Al Babtain, because he already visited Uzbekistan. He knows very well Uzbekistan, and he has very big respect to Uzbekistan, His Excellency Abdulaziz Al Babtain. And I know this very well activity of this foundation. This foundation of this activity is very big, but one of this activities is poetry. And this role of this foundation in development of poetry, personally, I appreciate it very highly. It is very important for people, for Kuwaiti people, and for all humanitarian people. And in this case, we already proposed and ready to cooperate with Abdulaziz Al Babtain Foundations in poetry field with Uzbek side. Inshallah, in future we plan already to organize some meetings between poetries of 2 countries, maybe some manifestation dedicated to some poetries, Kuwait poetries and Uzbek poetries, inshallah.
نتمنى ذلك أيضا سعادة السفير. أهلا فيكم مشاهدينا من جديد. سعادة السفير، للسياحة في أوزبكستان طعم فريد وأنشطة متنوعة وأوجه ثقافية عديدة، فضلا عن كرم الضيافة طبعا وشعبها، فإنما ما ذهبت تجد نفسك محاط بدفء أهلها أكيد وبضيافتهم. فماذا عن أهم المواقع الأثرية والتاريخية في أوزبكستان؟
Last year, Uzbekistan became one of the big and important touristic destinations in the world. Why? Because I already told you, Uzbekistan has a big cultural, scientific heritage in Uzbekistan. There is some famous historical cities like Tashkent, capital of Uzbekistan, Samarkand, Bukhara, Khwarezm, Fergana Valley, Kokand, Shahrisabz, etc., etc. And I already told this, there is in Uzbekistan more than 7,000 historical cities in Uzbekistan, historical monuments in Uzbekistan. In Uzbekistan today, this government gives very important, big attention to the development of touristic sectors. In country, we create already all infrastructures. And there is some different hotels for till 5 stars. And between these important cities, there is a speed train, like in Europe, for example. There is a flight, for example. There is a bus. Everything, all infrastructure are created in Uzbekistan for foreign tourists. But we continue to create this infrastructure. And in Uzbekistan also, we diversify the types of tourism. We have cultural tourism, we have ecotourism in Uzbekistan, we have medical tourism in Uzbekistan, even we have some hunting tourism in Uzbekistan. Even in winter we organize touristic season in Uzbekistan.
نعم. سعادة سفير، طشقند هي عاصمة أوزبكستان، وهي من أكبر المدن في آسيا، خلينا نقول في آسيا الوسطى، وتسمى نجمة الشرق ورسول السلام. ماذا تعكس هذه الأسماء عن جوهرة المدينة؟
Yes, Tashkent is very important city not only in Uzbekistan, but it is very important city in Central Asia. Even during Soviet Union, and today Tashkent is a center scientific, it is political, economic, scientific and humanitarian center in this region. Tashkent, by some sources, Tashkent more than 3,000 years in Tashkent. In Tashkent today there are over 3 million populations, and there is different names of Tashkent city, because even there is some names. Tashkent is city of bread. Why? Because during the Second World War, we received more orphelina, more women from other countries of Soviet Union when this war beginning, from, for example, Ukraine, from Belarus, from Russia, and we give to everybody bread. We share our foods with everybody, and Uzbek families receive these orphelina, these children, and to their family. And the children was educated in Uzbekistan. And from this period, Tashkent also, one of the name of Tashkent is city of bread. This very beautiful city, this political, of course, and center of Tashkent, of Uzbekistan. And there is some big, large prospectus in Tashkent. There is some historical monuments. There is some modern building in Tashkent. What I tell you, if you want to know more, please come to Tashkent.
إن شاء الله. وعشان نجي طشقند، شنو أحسن مواسم السياحة لزيارة أوزبكستان أو طشقند؟
And for tourism season Uzbekistan, openly Uzbekistan is good for 4 seasons. In Uzbekistan there is 4 seasons. Alhamdulillah, you see clearly 4 seasons in Uzbekistan. Normally touristic season begin in Uzbekistan in March, after 15-20 March. After 21 March, you know this day of Nowruz, this big festivity, Nowruz. And after the Nowruz, this touristic season also will open till December. But only in half of June and July till maybe 15 August, it will be a little bit hot in Uzbekistan, hot season, but some people come in hot seasons also, hot period also to Uzbekistan. But what is very important is if during day is very hot, but night time very different. If you during day you have 35, 40, night maybe 20, 15 like this. It is
big
good.
difference.
Yes, and even for New Year now from Europe, from other countries, more people come to celebrate New Year in Uzbekistan. In winter also we create some winter touristic seasons we open. We have some sky in mountain places in Uzbekistan. And I can tell you Uzbekistan is open during all 4 seasons.
نعم. ماذا عنك سعادة السفير؟ شنو الأماكن اللي تحرص في إجازتك الشخصية أن تنزل فيها في أوزبكستان ولها ذكريات جميلة معك؟
Openly, everybody loves his city or his village where you born. If I come to Uzbekistan, first of all, I try to go to my region. I am from Fergana Valley. It is a fantastic place. Fergana Valley, in Fergana Valley there are more mountains, rivers. Nature is very beautiful. Fruits, vegetables are fantastic. And I try to, of course, to come to my village and to visit my relatives and to pass some my times with my relatives in my village, of course. And I prefer to go also in my country anytime to Bukhara, to Samarkand, and to Khiva. It is historical cities, because each time when you visit these cities, you can find another new things, new history. It is very important. But for me, I live more than 40 years now in capital, in Tashkent. When I came to Tashkent in 1980 to pass to university, and from this period I am in Tashkent, in capital. But sometimes I want to go to my village.
لازم الإنسان يرجع إلى المنطقة أو مسقط رأسه للذكريات الجميلة اللي تجمعها. في سعادة السفير إن شاء الله مستمرين معاكم مع مشاهدينا، ولكن بعد هذا الفاصل.
يأتي رمضان في أوزبكستان ليذكر المسلمين بعظمة تاريخهم وحضارتهم وتراثهم، فيهبوا ملبين دعوة أجدادهم العلماء، فتمتلئ المساجد على آخرها، ويفترشون الطرقات التي طالما سار عليها أسلافهم، حيث تكتظ المساجد الكبرى بالمصلين على مدار الصلوات الخمس، مثل مساجد حضرة إمام وكوشكا والحاج أخرور ومسجد والي ومينور ومسجد نمازقاه وسمرقد وغيرها من المساجد. ويتوافد المسلمون على الأسواق لشراء احتياجاتهم الرمضانية، حيث يتسمون بالكرم الشديد والموائد الضخمة التي تضم عشرات الصائمين والمدعوين. وتشتهر أوزبكستان بزراعة الخضروات والفواكه والحبوب، إلى جانب تربية الماشية في الوديان الخصبة التي تعد مصدراً للحوم في معظم الأطباق، ولذلك تعج أسواقها بالخضروات والفواكه الطازجة، وتتكدس باللحوم التي يقبل عليها الصائمون بشكل كبير خلال الشهر الفضيل. تحرص العائلات الأوزبكية على دعوة بعضهم البعض لحفلات إفطار جماعية، ويتوافد الضيوف على صاحب الدعوة قبيل المغرب، وقد تصل في بعض الأحيان إلى 100 ضيف، وقد استعد صاحب الدعوة لذلك بذبح عدد من المواشي وتجهيز طاقم خدمة من أهله وأقربائه، ولا يجلسون معهم على الإفطار، بل يقومون بخدمتهم، حيث لا يوضع الطعام دفعة واحدة بل على عدة مراحل. وعند الانتهاء من الإفطار يقوم صاحب المنزل بإقامة صلاة المغرب، ليبدأ الضيوف بتناول وجبة الإفطار الرئيسية، يليها تناول الشاي الأسود والأخضر مع المكسرات والفاكهة. يقيم المسلمون في أوزبكستان صلاة التراويح 20 ركعة بجميع المساجد تقربا وإخلاصا للعبادة خلال الشهر الفضيل، كما يحرصون على ختم القرآن الكريم، رغم أنهم بعد الصلاة لا يستطيعون التحدث إليك بكلمة عربية واحدة، لكنهم يتقنون قراءة القرآن بلغته العربية. ويحرص المسلمون خلال شهر رمضان الفضيل بعد صلاة التراويح في أغلب المدن والقرى الأوزبكية على التزاور وصلة الرحم بحضور أباريق الشاي الأحمر والأخضر في طابور دائم لا ينقطع، حيث يتزامن الكل مع شرب الشاي، كل ذلك مع صنوف من الفاكهة موضوعة على المائدة لا تنقطع. وهناك من الخدمة من هم مسؤولون عن تنظيف الموائد أولا بأول، حتى إذا انتهى من الطعام أو الشراب يؤتى بغيره. ومن تمام كرم أهل أوزبكستان القيام بالإفطار مع ضيوفهم خارج المنزل، وتقديم الصدقات وتجهيز الموائد على رأس الطرقات للفوز بإفطار صائم. كما تنشط كذلك الجمعيات والهيئات الخيرية الإسلامية في الشهر الكريم، فتقوم بتنفيذ العديد من المشاريع الإغاثية والإنسانية المتمثلة في إفطار الصائم وكسوة العيد ومد يد العون والمساعدة للأيتام.
حياكم الله مشاهدينا مرة أخرى، ونستكمل حوارنا. سعادة سفير، إذا تكلمنا عن شهر رمضان المبارك، كيف يستقبل الشعب الأوزبكي شهر رمضان؟
In Uzbekistan, there are the representatives more than 130 different nationality and ethnic group, but 49% of the population of Uzbekistan are Muslims. We are Uzbek people also, we are Muslim, and as a Muslim, as a generation of Prophet Muhammad salam, we also we receive we await this Ramadan with big gladness, and Ramadan, this holy month, for us some festivity, and we Uzbek people first of all prepared to Ramadan. After we receive Ramadan, and we in other peoples of Islamic world, we for Ramadan for us it is with gladness.
نعم. سعادة سفير، هل في عادات ما زال الأوزبكستانيين يحافظون عليها في شهر رمضان؟ في عادات معينة في الشهر الفضيل؟ يعني كيف تقضي الجالية المسلمة هناك يومها في شهر رمضان؟
Of course, this Ramadan month is very important in each Muslim life. During the Ramadan life, the Uzbek people first of all try to help to relatives and to do some charity humanitarian actions, and everybody try to help to poor people, for example in Uzbekistan, and we try also to go to all our people, to ancestors, to our parents, to visit and daily, and we help also to some old people who lives alone, for example. Of course, in this Ramadan month, everybody try to do prayer to Allah, and it is all organized in Uzbekistan is very well, and some manifestation are organized by government in Uzbekistan. Everybody go to masjid, for example, and to do some prayers with Jama'ah, go together, and in house also we try to share our foods with neighbors, with relatives, and we invite neighbors to iftar, even to suhoor. for example. Everything we share in Uzbekistan. But in the Ramadan month, I repeat, maybe we try to do more charity actions and for everybody, for Allah.
Yeah, of course. سعادة سفير، إذا تكلمنا عن احنا تكلمنا شوي عن العادات، نبي نعرف عاد الأكلات الأوزبكية. ما هو الطبق الرئيسي أو الأطباق اللي ما تغيب عن مائدة الإفطار لدى الأوزبكيين؟
Of course, this food eating during Ramadan, it is very important. I think each people has some culture of eating of food or during Ramadan, because during Ramadan is very important. Even our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told during Ramadan it is not necessary to eat more. Yeah. We try also to minimize our food, but it is depend also from seasons. In Uzbekistan also, I told you there is 4 seasons. Some foods we depends from seasons also. Of course, during Ramadan, we try to eat more during the iftar, particularly more soup and more water, of course, more liquid, and more soups in Uzbekistan. We have some different types of soup in Uzbekistan, and also we have some Uzbek national pilaf. It is depend also from seasons. We eat more rice with pilaf in Uzbekistan, and there is a different types. And I told
any famous ambassador, any famous dishes in iftar, يعني you can name it.
It is what I tell you, soup and shurpa in Uzbek, and a different type of shurpa. We have samosa, some late, not big samosa, and of course we have, I told you, national food pilaf for iftar, all this for iftar, and some different bread and different some delicious things.
نعم. سعادة سفير، لو نتكلم بشكل عام، هناك مقولة شهيرة في أوزبكستان أنه لا يمكن للضيف مغادرة المنزل إلا بعد تكريمه بطبق بلوف اللي ذكرته حضرتك. شنو سر مكونات هذا الطبق؟
Yes, I told now this plov. It is very important Uzbek national food, and plov it is you prepare from with meat, and it will be beef or lamb, and with rice, carrot. In Uzbekistan, if you have in 14 region, we have more than 20 types of pilaf. It is depend from each region. It is very delicious foods, and if somebody come to your house or you invite somebody to your house, absolutely you prepare this pilaf.
It's a must.
It is very important. It's pilaf, and there is you are right also, when if you come and you try to live, and without pilaf you cannot live from this house. It is very traditional and very important food in Uzbekistan. It is also some respect to your guests, to some peoples. Even wedding, absolutely we prepare also pilaf. In each festivity, in each occasion, we prepare pilaf, and we share with everybody.
نعم. حلو جميل جدا. سعادة سفير، لو تكلمنا عن السحور وأطباق السحور المهمة، شنو يكون فيها؟
In suhoor, we try to eat some late, some soup, or some cheese, for example, and Uzbek cheese, and some soup like this late, very late, not more things.
So light يعني.
Yes, light.
نعم. سعادة سفير، لما نتكلم عن ذكرياتك في أوزبكستان وفي البلدان التي زرتها خلال العمل الدبلوماسي، خصوصا في شهر رمضان، خلينا نقول.
It's very important questions, but in this time it is very difficult to answer to these questions, because diplomatic life is very interesting. And in your diplomatic life, you visit more countries, you work with some countries, and you try to learn to life in each country, social, economic, political lives. And I have some different memories from in my diplomatic life. When I worked in Europe, in Belgium, in France, and in other countries, it was another things memories. And in Kuwait, there are another very important memories. Each your memories, it is depend from this social, economic, political life. Where are you work?
نعم سعادة سفير، حضرتك ما أنا تفضلت وقلت من 2014 أنت هني في الكويت، أكيد لحقت على كذا رمضان خصوصا قبل جائحة كورونا. شنو الشيء اللي عجبك بشكل عام في الكويت والحياة الاجتماعية في رمضان بالذات؟
Of course, this Ramadan also is very important in Ramadan in Kuwait. This year, 7 times I received Ramadan in Kuwait. Before, openly before this pandemic situation, Ramadan month in Kuwait was not only important, it was very interesting. And we go to Divaniya, we go to Iftar, and after Iftar, I forget 10, 11 o'clock, you organize also the things before Suhoor, after Iftar, and it was it is very interesting to receive Ramadan in Kuwait with all Islamic traditions, including with special Kuwaiti people traditions. And I love this Ramadan month in Kuwait. And each year during Ramadan, I try to stay in Kuwait. To stay in Kuwait, yes, to stay in Kuwait and to receive Ramadan in Kuwait with my friends, with my families. And I have more good memories from this Ramadan month in Kuwait.
Like what the memories? Can you talk about us?
First of all, I told you this, I have good memories from Divaniya. Second, and from friendshiply in Kuwait, some iftar, for example. In Kuwait, people also try to share everything with friends, with neighbors, and everybody send message, for example, how are you, what I can do for you, what do you do. It is very good for relationships between peoples, between relatives. It is very important. And second, I see more charity actions in Kuwait. Charity actions, like zakat. In Uzbekistan also it's mawjud zakat, some this, but in Kuwait also charity actions is very important. Even from government to sample people in Kuwait try to give some charity to poor specials to some countries also. And what's important, it is also a memory for me. If in Kuwait, for example, there is more than 4 million populations, okay, Kuwaiti people maybe 1 million and a half, but other it is this people who come from other countries. And during Ramadan also, Kuwaiti people try to help this people. Not only, not choose this Muslim, non-Muslim, to everybody. It is this, what I would like. This is one of the memory, my in Kuwait, in good, my memories. In Kuwait also like now becomes this multicultural and multinational country, with other people who come to work in Kuwait. And in this case, Kuwait try to create same conditions to everybody. And it is very important. In this case, why I love also in Kuwait, because among this particularity, Kuwait is a safe country. Why safe country? Because it is grass of constructive internal and foreign policy of Kuwait. You see neighbors countries, in some neighbors countries now situation is very bad. And but in Kuwait, Alhamdulillah, there is a stability, peace, and everybody is happy. This is safe country. It is grass, the good policy of government. Grass, this good for the friendship of Kuwait peoples. And grass, this Kuwait people loves his country. But I maybe repeat, this during Ramadan, this charity actions also in Kuwait is very, very important. It is good example for other countries.
نعم، هذا بالنسبة للعادات اللي عجبتك سعادة سفير. ماذا عن الأكلات الكويتية في شهر رمضان؟ المكبوس، المطبق، الأكلات الكويتية. الكويتي food in Ramadan, especially the main dishes like مكبوس.
Yes, it is all your food is good. Now sometimes I try to receive from outside also some.
Which one?
You know what is I try to do during Ramadan? My order for delivery openly from Al-Ghanim.
حلو.
You can find everything what you can eat during Ramadan. Sometimes, of course, it is important fish, white, and this and all this Arabic foods is very important during Ramadan.
الحمد لله. سعادة السفير, the last word, كلمة أخيرة إذا تقدر تقولها للمشاهدين بما أنه وصلنا إلى نهاية حلقتنا.
First of all, I would like to thanks for this today, for your invitation to your program, and I would like to wish all success to your program. And second, during this Ramadan, I would like to wish all my best wishes to Kuwaiti people, to all people in the world, to Muslim people, wishes of happiness, of prosperity. And I want Kuwait also become very important countries in the world. I hope and I pray Allah during the Ramadan times, our relationship is between Kuwait and Uzbekistan will be growing more. And I want our people become very friendly. And I forgot to say one thing very important to my friends from Kuwait. And now to attract more from Kuwaiti friends to Uzbekistan, now we introduced free visa to Kuwaiti people for 10 days. Now it is good, but we introduced also electronic visa for Kuwaiti people. And from 15 June, inshallah, Al Jazeera go to Uzbekistan to establish some first direct flight between the two countries. I told you now because this all our efforts. It will be a good contribution to approach and to friendship relations between Uzbekistan and Kuwait. And all my best wishes to all people of Kuwait, to our Muslim brothers and sisters.
شكرا سعادة السفير, وإحنا نشكرك أيضا على هذا اللقاء الرائع. مشاهدينا الكرام, وصلنا إلى ختام الحلقة. شكرا لكم.
Thank you very much.